Hey everyone. Hey, if you're like me, you were probably interested in the Rayban Stories when they were announced a little over a month or two ago. At the time, there were a lot of videos that came out right away from what I would consider a lot of the professional photography YouTubers, and those were great videos, don't get me wrong. But they did come out really quickly to get out with the launch of the Ray-Bans. And in this video, I just wanted to add to that conversation from someone that's actually been using them on a regular basis for over a month. So if you're considering picking up a pair, you'll at least be armed with a little more knowledge going in. For me, there were really two main use cases for why I bought them. First, I kind of thought that the always ready camera would be a really great thing to be able to capture things in the moment, such as when I'm out for a walk and I come across some wildlife, being able to just capture that without having to fumble for my phone. Secondly, I really wanted to try out the Bluetooth audio capabilities. I like to listen to music, listen to audiobooks, occasionally I like to make a phone call. Also, at the same time, the stereo in my Jeep kind of gave up the ghost, so I thought, well, maybe this will be a little thing to get me by in the meantime. Honestly, I have no idea if that's legal or not, but it's what I'm doing. Results? Well, to be honest, they're mixed, right? I knew it was a first generation product going in, and that some of the things I was hoping to be able to use it for probably wouldn't work right, but well, let's just get into it. Overall, I have to admit the glasses did turn out pretty nice. They're able to pack in a really good amount of technology into such a small form factor and keeping that Ray-Ban look and style. I do have to say though that there is a little bit of a weight difference between these and my traditional Ray-Ban Wayfarers that I've had for years. In the fact that when I'm wearing these, the weight doesn't really bother me, but over a period of time, I do notice I have to push them back up onto my face much more often than I ever did with the other ones. No, you're not going to look like Chuck Schumer wearing them, but you might feel like it. The battery life has actually been okay for me. I do notice that they drain quite a bit faster if I leave the voice commands on, so I tend to leave those off and just use the physical button. I can usually take them out for a walk for at least 2 hours, and without the voice commands on, I'll usually only see around 15 to 20% battery drain during that time. Whereas when I've left the voice commands on, I've sometimes seen up to 35–40% battery gone in just under 2 hours. So in my normal day-to-day use, I can live with that level of battery drain because I only use them for a few hours at a time before I put them back into their case. Okay, but what irritates me the most is the fact that it's 2021 and we're still releasing wearable technology that's not waterproof. I mean, seriously, at this day and age, it's unacceptable. I'm out with my glasses, I'm going for a walk. I live in the South, rainstorms come up out of nowhere, so therefore I now have to take them off, don't listen to music anymore, and have to try and spend the next 20 minutes of a sudden downpour trying to protect the glasses from getting wet. As for the audio itself, it's a little bit of a challenge, right? It's an open ear design. If you've used the Oculus Quest at all, you're kind of familiar with how that sounds. It's pretty impressive for the size of it, but that also means that everyone can hear what you're listening to as well if you turn the volume up at all. Now on the plus side, because of that open ear design, that means that you're able to hear things happening around you, which is nice. If I have a car coming up behind me, on the negative of that, other noise can easily drown out what you're listening to, such as if you walk by a lawnmower or if there's a really loud car. If you're like me and you want to listen to music while you're driving with them on, it doesn't take very much speed before the road noise starts to drown out and you can just kind of barely hear it. That open ear design also means that if you've turned the volume up at all, other people can hear what you're listening to. So not the best for privacy. For the right use cases, they work pretty good, but there's a lot of compromises when compared to just using a good set of Bluetooth earbuds. Let's talk about the camera for a few minutes. I think as you can see in these clips that were captured on the Rayban Stories, the idea of the camera being able to quickly capture things that you're seeing without having to pull you out of the moment is a purely magical idea. When I'm out on my walks and I come across wildlife like a gator or like these sandhill cranes, it's wonderful to not have to fumble for my iPhone to try and capture it. If I'm at Disney World, as you can see in these clips, and Suddenly there's characters walking by or a parade that I didn't notice, right? I'm able to capture that. Or even scenes from a roller coaster or a ride that was really fun that maybe I want to experience again later. The trouble with them though is that it just doesn't always work that great. I think we all know that the cameras themselves are of a lower quality. I think they're only 5 megapixel. But when you couple that with issues such as that the cameras don't really quite line up with where your eyes are looking, well, that can make framing what you're capturing a little more difficult, and it can be a little hit and miss. The lower resolution also can be an issue, especially since the wide angle nature of the pictures that it takes means that something that looks incredibly close to you looks much further away in the actual picture. And since it's lower resolution, it's not like you can zoom in. I've also had a few minor issues with the fact that I'm using the physical button, and if I get my hand just a little bit too close to that camera, my hand comes into the picture. Walking around with video, the video is stabilized. And so that's really nice. You know, I've been able to even, go at a very fast pace walking or even a slight jog, and it looks pretty good. Of course, that doesn't help very much when you lose focus of the fact that you're recording and you quickly turn your head to look at something else. That looks horrible in the video that you capture. I also really find the 30-second video limit to be very frustrating. It's just too short of a time. The notifications about when your recording has stopped and started just really doesn't work as well as it should. Now, finally, if you've made it this far, let's close out with talking about how they work as a pure Bluetooth headset, especially in the area of phone calls. In that area, I've actually gotten a lot of complaints. People say that the audio just sounds bad in terms of they can hear feedback occasionally, some distortion of my voice. They also say that if I am moving, they hear every small bit of background noise that comes into that. It's made people literally say they have to get off the phone with me. I tried to set up an experiment to capture that audio by making a phone call from the Ray-Bans to another phone and trying to record what that sounded like. It didn't quite go so well, but let's go ahead and I'll play that for you so you can maybe hear a little bit.
All right, and so this is what the sound is coming through from the Rayban Stories. I hear that from a lot of people that I talk to using the Rayban Stories that the sound is really bad. But right here, I should be in a fairly good position because I'm not moving. I'm sitting stationary. I'm outside, but I'm protected from the wind. So, all right. Now here I am outside in a normal grassy field walking, just like I would do every day, trying to get my number of steps in. When I try and make phone calls from here, I get pretty heavy complaints from people saying they're picking up all sorts of background noise, feedback. I don't know. We'll have to find out what this sounds like when we play it back.
Now, according to the person that I called, this was the best that they had ever heard it sound. So take that as you will. I don't want to make it sound like I hate the glasses because I don't. I still use them on a regular basis. I'm slowly becoming more accustomed to the limitations that they have, but I honestly don't know if I'd recommend them for anyone else. So what do you think? Was this helpful? Let me know in the comments if it was, or if you think that maybe this is not the generation of the Rayban Stories to get. Maybe we need to wait to generation 2 or 3. With that, have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.